Hi, this is Mrs. Jackson. This is Chapter 1, Section 1, Part 7. In this video, we are going to find the average rate of change over a specified interval of a particular function. The average rate of change is the slope between 2 points, and those 2 points are the endpoints of the particular interval we're looking for. One thing to note is, just like all slope, your average rate of change can be positive or negative. So sign is important. Okay, so I've got 3 examples here. The first one is, what is the average rate of change over the interval 0 to 5? Now remember, intervals are always x values here, except for the range. So we're looking at x equals 0 as one endpoint on the left and x equals 5 as the other. So if we take a look at where that is on our graph, I'm going to zoom in here. X equals 0 has an output of 2. And x equals 5 has an output of -1. Okay, so if you look at those 2 points there, hopefully you can see right away that this particular average rate of change is going to be negative, since if we drew a line in between those 2 red points that I just drew there, we would be going downhill. So I like to just actually write down some points. So at x equals 0, y equals 2, at x equals 5, our output is -1. And so remember that the slope is rise over run. So our average rate of change is the slope. So I'm just going to write that the average rate of change equals the rise over the run. So if I have an output, of course my rise is the change of the y values. If I'm going from an output of 2 all the way down to -1, my rise is actually going down 3. And my run is my change in x values, so I'm going from 0 to 5, so my run is 5. So you could leave this average rate of change as -3/5, or you can write that as a decimal if you wanted to, -6/10. Okay, my next practice example, what is the average rate of change over the interval -1 to +3? So at -1, I have an output of 3. And at +3, I have an output of -1. Okay, so at my input of -1, my output is +3. And at an input of +3, my output is a -1. So just visually looking at it, you should be expecting an average rate of change that's negative. Rise over the run. Okay, so I'm at a +3 from my output, and I'm going down to a -1. That's a change of -4. And my run, I'm going from -1 up to a +3, so that's a change of +4. And so that is going to be an average rate of change of -1. Last example, what is the average rate of change over the interval 1 to 7? So we've got +1, our output is also a +1, and at 7, our output is +1. You should already be anticipating what our average rate of change is here. Okay, so at x equals +1, our output is 1. At x equals 7, our output is +1. So our average rate of change rise over run. My output is going from 1 to 1, so there is no rise, it's 0. And our run is going from 1 up to positive 7, so our run is 6. And so you can see 0 divided by anything is 0, so there is no average rate of change there because they're both on the same output line. Okay, in this video we learned how to find the average rate of change over a specified interval of a function. Hope this helps.